Welcome back to the shop, ladies and gentlemen. We are here at the shop. However, we are not here for very long at this shop anyway. Don't worry, it's not another gardening video. However, we are going to another shop because today is finally the day where all of this gets to become trailer walls. That is right, we are finally back to working on the trailer today. It is supposed to be a nice 70 degrees out, so the glue should not have any problem gluing up. And we also have semi-flat floor space in a place with a lot of heavy things that I can go ahead and use to clamp down all of that wood. And like magic, it's all set up and ready to go. Let me show you a few things. So here I've got a bottle of Tight Bond 3 that I'm going to use for glue up. I've got the little holder for it. As you see here, I got metal laid out all the way around the perimeter of this because I actually figured out earlier how I want the metal to lay on there so that I can easily weigh it down once it's all glued up and I have the new sheet of plywood on top of it. Now I've actually marked like on the side there and the side there and there so that I know where the cross ones need to be so that I'm not putting weight where there's a big empty hole. I've got both of them set out here. This one goes that way. This one's set the opposite direction because this will be the right side. So when you flip it up, it's going to go like this. So that will be the inside, right? And then we've got this one here that when it flips upright, it will be the left side. You don't want to get those messed up on this, otherwise you're going to end up having two of the same side trailer and that would not be good. Now there is one thing with this one over here that I messed up on when I was cutting this sheet. As you see, it looks very nice. There's only one, maybe two little blemishes in this whole side of this board, right? This is the side I should have used. However, this is what I'm going to end up with. Now, luckily, I am planning on painting the inside of the trailer white or maybe an off-white or something. So hopefully you won't even notice that it's not on the right side. All right, now that you see how I've got this laid out and everything, let's go ahead and start that glue up. Alright, so unfortunately the nail gun isn't working very well with the little dinky nails that I'm using. So I'm just going to have to hope that this seam here, I mean you can see all the little holes, but those aren't nails. None of those are nails, so I don't know what's going on with the nail gun. But I'm just going to have to hope that I got enough weight on this to hold down the seams at least. And hope that it's going to end up working out right because, well, I don't really know what else to do about it at this moment. But I'm going to try to get that figured out before I start on the next one. Alright, so I think I got it figured out. There wasn't anything really wrong with it. It's just that maybe I was going too fast with it or something with those little nails. It just doesn't really like those ones. So I'm going to go ahead and glue up the second one now, and hopefully it'll work throughout the whole thing because, well, that was a little stressful. So let's get to that second one. All right, now we've got the left side and right side both glued up, and I think that it went fairly well. I do have to say that I thought it was going to take more than a quarter of a gallon of glue for each side, but it looks like it's only taken about a half a bottle for each side, and I put it on fairly thick with a roller. I had to say that that roller went really smoothly and really quick, which is definitely a good thing when you're working with about a 10-minute work time. However, it's the end of day one, and I did try about an hour ago to set this up so that I could put it up onto the makeshift table here so that I could do all the routing on it that I needed to do. However, the wood that is on there is bowed. So wherever it was bowed, it kind of released from the tackiness of the glue, and it is cooler in here than it is outside. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it for the night. It says that it takes about 6 hours to fully cure, so I'm hoping that I'm not going to have any issues with it tomorrow. The glue looks still tacky, and it was still tacky if I squish the wood to it, so I'm hoping that it will be good tomorrow. So I guess the only thing that we can do is really see and hope. And it is the next day, all bright and early. Okay, that's a lie. It's like 10:30. But now I'm going to go ahead and check this one out, and I'm just got my fingers crossed here, guys, that it's sticking correctly. If not, we're gonna have to figure something out. Yeah, right here and down there I can see that it's not glued down, but I don't think it's going to be as big of an issue as I initially thought because the door is right here. So I think what I could probably do is, because it's going to have a frame around it, it should be okay. And I can go ahead and add a little more glue up top here once I get everything all cut out, and let it sit some more once I've got the other stuff on top of it, and hopefully that'll do it. So now the next step is to get it put up onto here so that I can route out everything that needs to be routed out, including that door. All right, now you might be able to see a little bit better what I cleaned out, because you can see the floor there, of course the nice big door, and then those two areas. I also went around and trimmed out all of the edges so they are nice and flush with the skeleton. As far as those problem areas go, as you can see, you can't really see them when it's laying down here. You would normally see like a little gap right there, and the same thing like up here. It's actually a fairly large gap. It's like from here to here. What I'm going to do there is, after I insert the insulation into their correct spots, I can kind of set this up a little bit and maybe pour some more glue into those areas, and hopefully it will stick, because then I will be putting the outside onto it as well, and that should help with weight as well as equal distribution a little bit once I put all of this on top. And I might even put more metal on top just to add even more weight than I originally had. But we'll get to that once that happens. I'm hoping this one here won't have that problem because I didn't mess with it yesterday, so hopefully everything is glued correctly. Alright, so I now have the second one completely routed out, and unfortunately I found some voids in its glue as well. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research and figure out the best way to take care of this issue. And once I got that figured out, I'm gonna go ahead and grab the sander so that I can sand down the insulation pieces just to be a little bit easier of a fit in there right now. That way I'm not putting any more stress on the inside plywood while I'm trying to push it into the holes. Alright, so how I'm going to do this is I'm going to go ahead and take the foam, I'm going to dry fit it into the area where it needs to go, and then I'm going to just take a look and see where it's a little bit too tight at, and then I'm going to go ahead and sand it off because, well, I think that's going to be the easiest way. Probably not the cleanest, but definitely the easiest. Alright, so now that you can see that all of the insulation is in place, I actually have to take the sander and go over it because they are just a slightly bigger than 3/4 of an inch, which is how thick the skeleton is. I decided just to call Titebond themselves, and they said, contrary to what I've been hearing, that Titebond 3 won't adhere to itself, they said it absolutely will. And well, that makes things a little bit less complicated because that means all I need to do is get some glue into where it is separated at and get it re-weighted down. Now how I'm gonna do that, because I can't really get this bottle in there very well, is I went and gotten a big old syringe here with a little piece of plastic tubing that I have now put on the end. So I should be able to get that in anywhere that I need to put some glue, and this holds a fairly decent amount of glue. So I was talking to Jerry, the owner of this place, and he suggested that we keep them up on here, glue them, and then clamp them. He's got a whole bunch of clamps, so that's exactly what I'm gonna do. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue up one of them, put plastic down, and then I can take that one, flip it over, and put it on top, and then glue it, and then clamp them all down, hopefully within that 10 to 15 minute working period. As you see here, I got a whole bunch of clamps down. I just basically shoved that tube as far back as I could, and I just squeezed it and got as much air as I could, and then I kind of went back and forth. Same thing with these here. As you can see, you can even see all of the glue that is pouring out of there. That is a good sign. I just had a little spot here that I decided to fix up. Then of course all of this corner here, this was the really bad one here, and all of that. See all the glue that I put in there that is now not in there now. And then of course all of the clamps. Now the bottom one wasn't so bad, so that one didn't need that much work, but I did put glue in there on a few places as well before we flipped this one on top of it. And that is the end of day 2 working on these walls. Tomorrow I'm hoping to be able to put the exterior walls on. That takes a little bit of screwing and then gluing because there is a offset for both that floor as well as the front and roof that need to be maintained to a pretty close spec. So hopefully we'll be able to get to that tomorrow.